Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to the second annual Guide Summit. I am Enrique Jenkins, VP of Business Technology at Pendo, and I'll be your MC for the day. We're excited to kick off this event as we have an amazing lineup of speakers planned for you. We're bringing this community together from all over the world for a day of thought leadership and learning. Please be sure to utilize the chat on the right-hand side of the screen to connect with one another and let us know where you're coming from. We're excited you're here. First up on the virtual stage, we have Todd Olson, CEO and co-founder of Pendo. Please give Todd a warm welcome to the stage.
Thank you, Enrique, and it's wonderful to be here at our second annual Guide event. Welcome to Guide. It's awesome to see, well, virtually see each and every one of you here. Here's just a quick snapshot of many of the companies represented here on the event today, and we're excited to see the diversity of companies and organizations joining us. I want to start off a little bit talking about this article that I found in the Wall Street Journal that challenged the role of IT. And in the article, it mentions that, quote, most IT departments are measured by inputs, money they've spent, systems that don't break down, or projects that come in on time and on budget. But there's almost nothing about the contributions that technology is making to business outcomes. Well, folks, that doesn't have to be the case. And that certainly doesn't mean we need to get rid of IT or anything. Rather, it's an opportunity to transform the thinking and ensure that IT is focused on how we leverage technology to drive those outcomes. And this is our story today. Here's another quote that kind of further this idea. And it talks about the CIO's role in the boardroom. And it isn't, of course, to fix a laptop, but rather to help illustrate the art of the possible. I love this concept of art of the possible because to me, it's just a great example that we want to ensure that IT isn't the department of no, rather it's the department of how we partner with the business to say yes. Now this transformation does require change. It requires IT to be more agile, to leverage data, and to shift its thinking from a project to a product mentality. And a great example of this is the IT team at Home Depot. They started using in-product messaging to address common support issues from employees related to an internal portal that they use for tracking sales, customer relationships, time off. Think of a product-led support within a store. They piloted this across 100 retail stores, and in doing so, they reduced their ticket volume by 80% on a per-issue basis. This allows store associates to be freed to spend more time with customers and drive more sales for their pro business. Now, this is just one story, and you're going to hear a lot more stories just like this over the course of today. Now, let me introduce you to what you're going to hear about. First up, we have our own Tatyana, who's going to talk a little bit about her and our journey to understand the dynamics of the digital workplace and in our building of a platform that meets your needs as IT leaders, guiding your employees through these changes. Next up, we'll have Tim Creasy. Now, with the pace of change and workplace accelerating, agility is more important than ever for organizations to perform well. Now, Tim has dedicated his career to helping companies be more agile, and you'll hear from him second. Next up, we're going to have a panel led by Pendo's own Enrique, who you just met earlier. It's an all-star panel with leaders from Linksys, Silicon Valley Bank, Asana, Elf Beauty. And the topics are going to range from how IT and IT leadership is changing to become more strategic, to challenges managing a complex IT portfolio, to how you partner across the business to drive adoption of software, and product-led approaches to how you foster change. Very exciting. You got to stay tuned for this. Next up, we have Mick Kirsten, longtime friend and colleague, author of Project to Product, CEO of TaskTop. He's going to present the flow framework and approach to value stream management that helps organizations measure their product value streams, improve flow, optimize business for business outcomes. And last up today, I am so excited to hear from Sadal Neely, award-winning professor from Harvard Business School. She's the author of a best-selling book, Remote Work Revolution, and her latest book, The Digital Mindset, actually releases today. And I think stay tuned for like a special promotion later for that book. That is at least what I'm told, folks. Very, very exciting. Extra incentives. Just stay tuned for this amazing lineup today. Now, going back to how I started on that Wall Street Journal article about IT, Tatyana wrote a response to this article as posted on CIO, and she reiterated our belief that that IT doesn't need to go away. It just needs to shift its thinking and ensure it's a true partner and not a silo. And the first thing IT can do as a partner is to make sure that we're getting value from our software and our software investments. And in doing so, it's all about making sure our employees are actually using it and adopting it. And that's where there's a huge opportunity, because 75% of executives say getting employees to use this software is a competitive differentiator for their organization. We just need to find more ways to do it. Another story exemplifying this is One Medical. One Medical is a fast-growing national healthcare provider that had a huge hiring surge due to COVID, which put a strain on their training resources. Imagine what it was like, with so much demand, so much pressure, hiring so many people. But they ended up rolling out automated product-led support that saved hundreds of clinical hours by automating their onboarding platform, by freeing trainers to focus on more strategic topics. They added product-led capabilities like tooltips to help reduce confusion, which improve consistency in reporting. They also collected feedback from employees, which helped them prioritize new capabilities that have actually improved the overall experience. It's a great example of what it means to be product-led. So I want to challenge you. How will you empower your teams to do their best work? And I'd encourage you throughout the day, as you're thinking about this or being inspired, to leverage social media. And please use the hashtag #GuideSummit to share your thoughts. Now with that, it's my pleasure to pass it off to Tatyana Mamut, SVP of New Products at Pendo, to talk more about the future of work.
Thank you, Todd. I am delighted to be here to talk about how Pendo Adopt is helping companies, and especially the IT leaders that Todd just talked about at companies, deliver a great digital workplace experience that aligns with the business's goals. I'm going to start this talk with a story from my past. Today, I work at Pendo, and I'm going to start with this talk with a story from when I used to work at IDEO, a global design and innovation firm. About a decade ago, I co-founded and ran the organization design practice to help global companies like Visa and Genentech become more innovative by changing how their employees worked. Our projects focused on aligning the structure and practices of an organization with its objectives, with the aim of creating more effective and efficient innovation that would earn an innovation premium for the company's shares. Because we know that innovative companies get valued a lot higher by Wall Street. Now, to do this, we created new business metrics, helped to restructure teams, and taught executives the 7 rules of brainstorming, like deferring judgment and not saying things like, "We tried that before and it didn't work." That was hard to get executives to do. But more than anything else, we were hired to do workplace experience redesign projects, literally redesigning office spaces to be more creative and collaborative. Now, why did CEOs and COOs spend so much time, money, and effort on office space redesign because they know that where employees work can shape how they will work and therefore what the business can accomplish. Giving employees an environment in which they had a seamless place to support innovation was critical to creating innovative products. One part that we started to think about more and more, in large part due to the birth of the iPhone in 2007, was how digital experiences affected work environments. Not only could we change the workplace because employees were no longer tethered to desktop computers and physical spaces in the office, but employees also became more comfortable and even demanded the ability to work in a different and more digital way. This is how the workplace started to become more digital. Then, as digital transformations expanded, business leaders and teams wanted more software, and IT obliged. Every process started to become digitized, and everyone seemed to have a reason why the shiny new tool could do it better than the old one. Employees started buying their own tools, teams started using different tools for the same processes, and this is how the problem of SaaS sprawl really began. And then the COVID pandemic hit, making our digital tools the workplace as employees shifted to remote work overnight. And it's no surprise that 74% of IT heads say the CIO role was elevated during the pandemic. So where are we now? As SaaS sprawl has accelerated even more since the pandemic, the goal has become business continuity. Keep the business running as digital change continues to speed up. So how do we take this concept of a digital workplace, one that has emerged from the grassroots, and turn it into a fully designed experience that supports the work behaviors we want? One that has the same principles of the physical workplace that we've designed with humans at the center. Right? How do we take those principles of human-centered design to the digital workplace? Now, leaders know that improving the digital workplace experience is a priority. In fact, 89% of executives say that driving adoption of employee-facing software is a priority, but only 30% say they're highly effective at doing it. What makes it so difficult to drive adoption of your employee-facing software? Well, first, nothing is in plain sight. Employees are working in different places in different time zones, so leading and decision-making in this type of world is really hard. What you see here is the Winchester Mystery House, a 160-room mansion in San Jose, California, built over decades with a truly bizarre layout. Doors and staircases abound that lead to nowhere. Windows exist that looked out onto nothing but other rooms inside the mansion. So it's easy for visitors to become lost and confused inside the chaotic layout of the house. So why am I telling you this? Because in some ways, it's very similar to what our employees are experiencing at work in 2022. The average enterprise company now uses over 250 apps, a dramatic increase from 2 years prior. With this growing proliferation of apps, too many companies are letting their digital ecosystems turn into the tech equivalent of the Winchester Mystery House, with a layout that makes no sense, paths that lead to nowhere, and experiences that leave employees feeling confused and lost. And it's our job as leaders to fix this. Now, the physical workspace was designed and redesigned to support the desired business goals and help support employees in working the way the company needs them to. It also helped facilitate a leadership model that enabled you to be tuned in to the way work was getting done and give you visibility into gaps, challenges, and feedback from employees. For example, when I learned how to be a manager in the 1990s, I was told that the best way to manage was to manage by walking around, right? I would walk over to a product manager or a designer, or they would call me over to give feedback real time, right? To help them through a work process or to help them figure out a new way of doing something that that was the way I wanted them to work, right? That may be a new way than they had ever worked before. However, now, gone are the days where if you're not sure what's going on, you can just check in with employees in the kitchen. When your employees face process or system challenges, they just can't call you over to help them in real time. That's just not realistic. The way we generated insight and visibility into the physical workplace will never be the same. And it's much harder now to keep a pulse on the effectiveness of your organization overall. So where are we? We're trying to change, but we created a labyrinth of tools and information, all a lot of different user experiences that employees have to navigate, jumping from one app to the next to do their job. It's become harder to get visibility you need to run your business. On top of that, you may not have achieved your transformation goals. In fact, today, 3/4 of transformations fail. This combination is very disempowering for leaders and employees alike. This is why incremental changes at work can be hard enough to navigate. With so many moving parts, transformation in the digital workplace is even harder. And that's why so many companies are trying to tackle today. In fact, 85% of IT leaders now say they devote time to transformational responsibilities. How can we help them with this monumental task? Right now, you might have teams devoted to increasing productivity, improving employee experiences, and optimizing software at work. So what's the problem? Well, the problem comes in because these initiatives are often happening in silos and sometimes even working at cross purposes to one another. But the digital workplace sits at the center and the intersection of achieving all these business goals. And here's a story about how 2 Fortune top 10 companies are beginning to think about and connect to their digital workplace experience. Let's take Walmart. After listening to feedback from employees, they decided to improve their holistic digital workplace experience by launching the Me at Walmart app for their employees last year. This app lets employees accomplish the key work-related tasks all in one place, from clocking in and out to communicating with colleagues, locating and scanning inventory, and reviewing sales data. This app puts everything in a centralized digital location to make employees' lives easier. It guides them through work on a daily basis. What's the lesson? Well, a central workplace environment where employees can go to answer all their questions and do all their work seamlessly is really critical. Now, as for Amazon, they recognize that HR as a function is more and more bound up with technology, which is why they've transitioned from HR in the traditional sense to the People, Experience, and Technology team. Amazon has learned that business success today means fusing technology and human experience. Okay, so you may be thinking, well, this is all well and good, but these are huge companies able to pour millions upon millions of dollars into transformation efforts. What can I do? Well, ensuring your digital workplace is a fully realized, intentional ecosystem, one that provides data, tools, and insights, means you have to look at the human side, both what employees do, their actions, and how they feel, their sentiment, with the tech side, and do this holistically. This intersection is why we built Pendo Adopt, to help bring it all together with intention, to create a digital workplace experience that empowers your employees to achieve your desired business outcomes. And luckily, you don't need to spend tens of millions of dollars on a digital transformation overhaul. With Pendo Adopt, you can add your own bespoke layer of insights, guidance, and support on top of your already existing workplace tools and learn from how work actually happens. Now, at Pendo, we're not a Fortune 1 company or a Fortune 2 company. We're not even a Fortune 10 company. But we're going to highlight one recent small example of how we've begun applying this thinking within our own company. Recently, the Pendo HR team had a challenge. We introduced a new integrated HR system, and like many newly introduced tools, we still had some duplicative processes in the digital workplace. A lot of people were still using the old legacy system, and that was causing confusion and bad data. So we took all the normal steps for a rollout. We sent emails, we sent Slack messages, the CEO even made some town hall announcements, but despite that, the message just wasn't getting out to the masses. And afterwards, we heard that some processes, like employees updating their personal information in the profile page, was just getting lost, it was confusing, and we were getting support tickets. As a result, our personal information data was also a mess. Employees were complaining that data was out of date. They didn't know which tool to go to get the right information. It was all just very confusing. The transition was not going well. So, was this a real business problem for all of our employees, or just a few loud, lost individuals? So, we started by looking in Pendo Adopt at our full portfolio of tools, which we've enabled with Pendo, and zoom into our HR tech stack, specifically the new integrated HR tool and the legacy HR tool, which going forward we only want to use for payroll. And we want to understand the problem we were having with a duplicative process, having employees update their personal profile. So we needed to start with who might be struggling with this process, so we view by team. We can see that finance and sales have done a good job transitioning to the new HR tool. However, product and design are still using the old legacy tool more often than the new tool. We can derive some top-level insights from this portfolio view, but let's go a little deeper. We then filtered to the design and product segment, the two groups using the legacy app more frequently. With over 2,000 monthly views, we confirm that confusion around the update profile feature is a material problem. Also, we ran a campaign in April to get employees to update their personal information, and there was a spike in the use of the legacy application at the same time, meaning users' ingrained habits to visit the legacy app were more powerful than the email and Slack communications we sent. So let's help guide the lost users to the right place with a cross-app guide. If anyone comes to this page, they'll be guided away from the legacy HR app, and they'll be able to follow the process all the way through to the integrated HR system. This way, they get a fully guided experience, and we're able to target the right content to the right people at the relevant time and place. And since we know that HR tools are infrequently used, we expect that employees will forget everything we just taught them. So the next time they need to update their personal information, we've created an always-on source of truth for them. This resource center is the in-app equivalent of a help desk, the in-picture manager, the knowledge base system. This is the digital workplace experience hub supporting the entire organization, customized to your employees' needs. Lastly, we know that to achieve your business goals, it's not just enough to deploy a guide. Workflows are one way we can measure if guidance has turned into real capabilities. The next time HR runs their campaign, they can use workflows to see who is in the integrated HR tool and completing the process as intended. Also, they can see where people might be getting stuck, looking at things like the 11% of employees who have started but not finished the process. And this is proof that for 85% of employees, we've changed their actions for the long term. And this gives us the confidence to explore, validate, and solve for other digital workplace experience challenges. So, what were the results for Pendo? Well, 85% of employees logged into our new HR system and updated their personal information in the first month. We were able to influence the actions of our employees and reach our business objective of having a single, connected, and integrated source of HR data. Data that we relied on was now being kept up to date. And overall, Pendo was able to ease this transition to a new HR system while we delivered a positive employee experience, with our employees rating the experience 4.5 out of 5 stars based on a poll we ran in the app. One employee shared that, "I've been through this at other companies, and it's always so messy. Here, I barely noticed when it happened. The transition was amazing." So, we motivated employees to take action and help us achieve better business outcomes. We moved the employees who are struggling off the legacy workflows in the old system onto our desired workflows in the new system, optimizing our software spend. In fact, after we reached 90% adoption of the new integrated HR tool, we were able to retire another specialty tool that was duplicative as well. And that made our CFO really happy. This use case we shared is just only one example, one small part of a bigger picture. Think about how all these little initiatives tied together into broad transformation. How when you do this often enough and measure it, you can actually ensure that it's achieved. It's a mindset shift. For us, Pendo Adopt has become the layer to bring it all together to help us realize the power of the digital workplace, the way it can empower employees and be an ecosystem that guides work, strengthens process, and enhances our bottom line. I hope we've inspired you to start thinking a little differently today and design your digital workplace with intention moving forward. Please visit our digital virtual booths and see how this works and talk with our Pendo Adopt experts. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tatyana. That content was actually really near and dear to my heart. If you want to keep this conversation going, we have the Pendo team available at the product spotlights throughout the event. So please be sure to stop by and say hello to the team.